In this engaging episode, Mark Hackwell, MD in Seventh Heaven, shares his journey from a psychology graduate to a successful leader in the skincare industry. He discusses the importance of sales experience, then the transition to general management, and the strategies behind Seventh Heaven's growth as a leading liquid mask brand in the UK, selling across 80 markets worldwide. Mark emphasises the significance of quick decision making, understanding consumer engagement and adapting to market trends, particularly through collaborations and influencer marketing. He also hints at exciting future product expansions, showcasing the brand's commitment to innovation and sustainability. I hope you enjoy. Hi Mark, welcome to the podcast.
Hi Steve, thanks for having me on.
It's a pleasure. Obviously this is going to be a hot topic of mine, as all my friends will know. My skincare routine is vital to me. But obviously we'll talk a bit more. Maybe I'm not quite your target market, but you can explain that later, Mark.
You could be.
Yeah. Never judge nowadays, can you? So look, Mark, you're MD of Seventh Heaven, which is a fabulous business, which we'll go into a lot more detail on. But we have a bit of a tradition with the podcast where we kick off by asking our guests to explain how you've got to these lofty heights. So if you could give us a nice potted history of your career, that'd be fabulous. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it's probably worth noticing when I left university, I didn't know what I wanted to do at that point in time. So I left uni, did a degree in psychology and thought, okay, I need to get a job. So I ended up searching, high and low and thought, okay, I can get a job in the local area where I was based at the time and got a job in sales through Barclays. And actually found I had a real, skill for sales and a real kind of affinity for sales as well. And then that took me on a journey working through multiple FMCG companies. So pretty much doing, most jobs from being out on the road through to, national accounts, senior national accounts, all the way through to commercial director. So I've worked for, many different businesses from Peroni through to, other alcohol brands like Krabby's, Lamb's, Navy Rum, all the way through to multinational food brands like Prince's, and then through to sports nutrition, where I ended up coming in as a more senior member of the commercial team. Within a year, I then moved into the sales director role. And to be fair, my goal was always to try and, become a sales director. I'd forged a path through my career where I'd tried to tick as many boxes to try and get to that sales director role. So I'd identified that I needed to have convenience, I needed to have grocery, tick off all the big four grocers. And then moving to USN, which was the sports nutrition brand, it allowed me then to understand high streets as well. So Boots, Superdrug, Holland and Barrett. And by that point I'd pretty much ticked most of the boxes. And so within a year of being there, then I moved into the sales director role and had a team reporting into me, which up until that point I'd only had one person reporting into me before then. So it was a bit of a learning curve, only managing accounts, but managing people. Which was a slightly different skill set.
It's a very interesting point, isn't it? Of that there are certain milestones, like you say, there are promotions and there are titles which are vital, and like you say, as you move up but the movement from managing yourself or managing even upwards to managing downwards is very tricky to do it right, isn't it? I think that's
absolutely. Yeah, I guess you're dealing with people and personalities at the end of the day, yeah, and it's those people and personalities that are going to determine whether you win or lose. When you're in a role where you're depending just on yourself, it's only you that matters. Whereas, say, moving into a role like, what one where you've got multiple people reporting into you, it's how then do you divide your time? How do you change your style? So that's, I think, probably been one of the steepest kind of learning curves has been. How do I adapt my style to get the best out of the people that are reporting into me or working with me? And yeah, let's be honest. Yeah, that was probably a challenge probably at first.
Yeah, I think
when you're faced in a pressurized situation as well.
I think I've seen not careers stall and go backwards, but I've certainly seen people's development stall whilst they got their head round realising they weren't the best person to do everything, and until they trusted their team, they couldn't move on to the bigger jobs and the next role that they were seeking, isn't it? But I get it. It's difficult because you think I could have that done in an hour, whereas I've got to explain to Mark for 2 hours, then I've got to check his work. But it's like until you break the cycle, though, you're knackered, aren't you?
I say, I think what really helped me though was I'd done a number of mentoring roles prior to getting to that point, so I understood,
Okay.
how to train and develop people prior to getting to that role, which really stood me in great stance because it allowed me then to, help develop and train the team to help them deliver what I needed from each of their different sectors within the business. Um, I think what was also key was as well was understanding me as a person and my personality. So at that point, I undertook different personality tests, and I suppose the key one was DISC. So
Yeah.
understanding my natural state, my perceived state, and how aligned those states were.
Or
And
not, or
or
not.
not, yeah. And then understanding as well, like doing the same task then with the team that I had at the time, and how natural they were being to themselves within the roles that they were doing. And that really helped. It really allowed me to understand me as a person, but allowed me to understand them as people as well, and how to then maybe reframe things to get the best out of them on a daily basis. It's been interesting as well. Like, my disc profile has changed over time, so
Okay.
wherever it was at that point in time isn't where it is now. Like, my disc profile is like 50/50 blue red, whereas at the time it was a lot more heavily weighted towards being blue. I was a lot more introverted and less direct.
Yeah, see, I've always been criticised for not having enough red in my program, but I'll just smother you with love. That's all I'll do, and hopefully you'll come along. No, but it's interesting, isn't it, how you evolve to either, and whether that's because of experience or because of the role that you're doing, that you've got to morph, haven't you, and adjust into it in terms of
Absolutely.
leadership.
Yeah, and to be fair, I don't know, I kind of, I grew into that role. I really enjoyed doing the role of sales director within USN, and I guess, going back to your question previously, so, how did I get into my role now? I I saw an opportunity. We had some change in leadership within the business, and that allowed me naturally to move into that role as MD within the USN. After some consultation with internal colleagues and the owner of the business, and literally, I then stepped into that role and took the reins and led the business for just over 2.5 years. And really, I saw some great success during that period. We took the business from about 23 million to well over 32 million pounds with the turnover in that period,
Wow,
which was built
because
on,
it's a busy sec. We do some work for Science in Sport that
yeah,
you'll come across, and it's a you're fighting for your customer, aren't you? There's lots of noise for them.
lots of competition in that area. Not only say just from the UK, but especially from the States as well. And it's a very fragmented market to a degree by the fact you've got your online retailers where the cost of entry is really low. Anybody can go and make a protein powder or some form of pre-workout and sell it online. And I guess as well, yeah, given the fact that the states have got a good kind of entry point into the UK, and there's a lot of independent retailers within that sector, it makes it highly competitive. And there's a lot of people who are vocal in that sector as well, which is an interesting thing to manage as well at the same point.
It's a very polite way of saying.
But yeah, to be fair though, no, I really enjoyed my time through at USN, and then I think then needed a new task, something really to get my teeth into, which was different to sports nutrition. I've been in that industry for just over 5 years, and I wanted a new challenge. So I then moved across to Montaigne Jeunesse, Seventh Heaven, and yeah, really, I guess it was about rebuilding the brand and really bringing some structure and strategy through to the business, which I think we're starting to see now. So if we look at the business when I first joined, it was quite different. I guess I had to reassess the structures within the business, the products that we were selling. We had over 900 SKUs within the business when I started. That's down to probably 250, 300 currently. And yeah, it's been, I don't know, about refining the business. So
So
it's
you
been a
joined
process.
in 2023, was that right?
2023. I joined in the April of 2023,
So
and
you've got your 2 year stripes. Yeah.
it's been challenging along the way. We've got a very different business. Well, I say different, very different, quite a different business model to probably what I've managed previously. By the fact that we operate in 80 plus countries across the world, I don't know, a number of challenges along that way. We had multiple warehouses, we had multiple businesses that we had set up within our own business, and our products is celebrating its 40th anniversary this year as well. So we've been around for a long time.
Before we get on to that, because there's some brilliant stuff in there with the family ownership as well, maybe let's just make sure we do our marketing job here as well to explain what Seventh Heaven has in terms of a core product offering, just in case someone's not heard of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'll be honest, our awareness rates probably aren't as high as they need to be. So that is something we're working on in the background. But it's interesting. If you take our core product, which is our face masks, majority of them come in sachets. We've got a distinct cutter guide for our core range. And as soon as people see that shape, they recognize the brand. They might not know the brand name, but they recognize the brand. And I say, our brand is mainly placed within the face mask sector. We do a range of liquid and sheet masks. We do some other products as well, some ancillary products which kind of sit alongside that. But I think if you look at our core business, we are the biggest liquid mask brand within the UK. So we're number one. And as I say, we operate in 80 plus different countries. I think what differentiates us from maybe some of our competition is a lot of our products is made in the UK. So we have the capabilities of making both liquid and sheet masks in the UK, which many of our competitors don't do. Generally, they're made either within the EU or from the Far East.
And what control does that give the business then? The fact that you have fully in charge of the manufacturing process.
I think it gives us a couple of USPs maybe versus some of our competition. I say we own all of the formulations, but it allows us to become quicker to market than maybe some of our competitors by the fact that we don't have the lead times of shipping from, say, the Far East. Shipping from the Far East, you're looking at maybe 12 weeks production time plus then 10 weeks on sea. So by the time a product is conceptualized to come into market, it's then maybe half a year's worth of time down the line, whereas we can create, build, and distribute something within maybe 12 to 14 weeks. It gives us a competitive advantage from that side. I think the other angle that I guess plays into as well is the fact that obviously with it being UK made and UK sourced, it then allows us to drive a different level of credentials through to our consumer base. We've been heavily invested in the ethical sourcing of our products, and I think building on that with obviously having UK built products as well allows us to have a clear USP within the market.
Is that in terms of sustainability and that side?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you look at the amount of road miles, air miles, sea miles that go into maybe other products, obviously we get to cut that down massively by the fact that we do have several production sites within the UK, but they're only traveling maybe a couple of 100 miles to get to the end destination.
That's brilliant. And your market, just so everyone's clear, is unfortunately not me. I hate to tell you that. It is our young teen female market, is it predominantly?
It spans I guess a number of sectors. I'll be honest. So we've got everything from animal masks, which are young teens.
Not for animals. Let's be clear.
Not for animals, no.
Not for your dog or cat. You're not putting a mask on there.
They're face masks with animal prints on them. They sell because they've got quirky designs and great fragrances. They're really soft and gentle for younger people's skin. That they are designed for that market. And we've got everything that kind of spans from there all the way through to more mature skin. And we also do have a men's range. So we do have a men's range as well within our portfolio. I'd say our sweet spot, though, is Gen Z through to millennials. Because a lot of people have kind of grown up with our products, and we still get a number of new consumers coming into the brand. But yeah, that's probably our sweet spot, Gen Z to millennials.
I suppose with things like skincare, if you find something that's good for your skin, doesn't react, we're all a bit like creatures of habit, are you? You're going to stick with it.
We are, yeah. I think maybe the advantage we have to a degree is we've got a low cost of entry because of most of our products come in sachets. There's the ability to try and test new products at a low cost, low low kind of barrier to entry into the category. And yeah, we really focus our time and effort playing in the niches. I guess if you look at most of the major skincare brands, they'll be focusing on serums, creams, moisturizers. Within face masks, though, there's less development and time being spent probably from some of the bigger brands. I'm not saying that some of the Korean and Japanese brands are focusing in that area, but the majority of their efforts are going outside of face masks.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And so, in terms of that target market, is there a kind of fast fashion element to it, as in the like you said, obviously the animal stuff, but a lot of it you do quite a lot of collabs, don't you, in terms of partner brands to keep them relevant, to give you an angle?
We do, yeah. So I guess we play on a few different things when we're kind of looking at that, and in terms of how do we bring new people into the brand? How do we keep people engaged within the brand? So yeah, you're completely right. One of the elements that we pull up on will be partnerships and collabs. So at the moment, we've got a great partnership with Chub Chups, and that's rolled into most of our European markets as of this second half of the year. We've got a fantastic partnership with Mattel, which is a global partnership. So that spans everything from Barbie to Monsters High to Hot Wheels, Polly Pocket. And then we've got a new collaboration that we're working on, which will land in Q3, end of Q3, beginning of Q4 this year, which will be wicked. And that will be just in time for the new movie. So we're super excited to get that into market. That's going to be predominantly based on, I guess, within the UK and Ireland, whereas a number of our other collaborations do span into some of our European markets and international markets as well. But yeah, so we work on that, but also at the same time, we're always looking at what's going to be the next trending product. So is it biocellulose mask? Is it going to be glass skin? Is it going to be the next trending active that might be the next big thing? So we're always constantly kind of evaluating what that looks like to see what we can bring into our range.
So I assume you've got different teams then looking at, or like you say, to find angles from either a technical product point of view to a marketing point of view, let's be honest, on the wicked and things. And like we said earlier, I'm hoping they are green, those masks. You said green and pink, did you?
We do have green and pink masks, yeah. So we've got a couple of liquid masks, a couple of sheet masks. We've also got some blemish dots, which are going to launch at the same point, and some under eye hydrogels. So yeah, the designs look great. I must admit, I don't know, I've not had any involvement in that because that's not my
Yeah.
speciality. But the team have done a fantastic job. Yeah, so we have a design team. We've got like an R&D team, which is the lab and regulatory, and then we've got an MPD team as well because a lot of this needs project managing. So that guys will take everything from concept to basically taking it all the way through to in depot.
But you're under, from what you were saying earlier, not quite time pressure, but you can't hang around, can you? Because obviously, go back to the Wicked example, that film only comes out every couple of years you've got to be on ready to go with the products before it, haven't you? To
We
get on
do.
the trend. Yeah.
We do. That's absolutely true. We're constantly looking at our innovation pipeline, and not only at things that are trending, but we'll be testing things ourselves. So we've got a couple of stores that we use in a couple of locations to test new products. So we've constantly got things on test, and they go through 8 to 12 week cycles to make sure one the stable products, but two to see how they track on shelf and do people actually purchase them. We've done a number of different types of consumer testing previously, and I think that the key metric is will it actually sell when it sits on shelf. So if it sells, we know it's probably going to do quite well.
Yeah. And what are your routes to market? Obviously, you said you've got a couple of retail outlets there, but is it through where we'd expect in terms of the super drugs and the boots, or is it wider?
Yeah, so I guess the product testing itself happens in a couple of stores that we have partnerships with. In terms of our route to market, though, we sell into most chains and stores. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess within the UK, you'd find us in everywhere from maybe some of the discount bargain stores all the way through to like Superdrug Boots, grocery channels. We'll be on Amazon. We sell on TikTok. We've got our own D2C platform. In Europe, you'll find us again in most outlets. So now if you go to Spain, you'll find us in Primo, Druni. You go to Germany, you'll find us in Muller. will be one of the typical kind of outlets, and then all the way through to Australia, New Zealand. We're in I don't know Canada, North America, South America. Yeah, remote most of
Okay.
the usual chains that you'd probably find
Yeah.
our style products in.
And how have you found that change? Because I'm assuming things like obviously TikTok Shop and Amazon using those channels is a more recent development within the business. How have you found that direct to consumer angle rather than through the retailers?
I think it's been an adaptation for the business. But we are still probably trying to find the sweet spot as to how to manage, I guess, as an ecosphere, Amazon, talk our own website. Where do we put most of our investment into? How do we engage consumers in the best way through each of those different platforms? I think TikTok's probably been the biggest transformation within the sector. There's so much volume and traction going through TikTok now, which there wasn't previously. It's made us kind of sit up and think, okay, we need to step change our model. TikTok, for instance, we've been testing and trialing now for a while. We brought that back in house earlier in the year. I'm sitting in the TikTok studio that we utilize in Seventh Heaven. We also do some of the TikTok lives out in the warehouse, but really, yeah, it's been a challenge because I don't think we've fully understood it. We've spent probably more time with TikTok more recently to start to drive that traction and drive the understanding as to how to play effectively in that area. But Amazon, again, I guess Amazon's different again, and so is our own website. But really, I think the focus for us really at the moment is TikTok and Amazon.
Yeah. Again, you start to control, don't you? And there's nothing like dealing direct with the consumer as well to understand what works, what doesn't work, what gets returned, what you get complaints about, because you can just react much quicker, can't you?
Absolutely, and I think the thing that surprised us as well is which products sell on which platforms.
Right.
So
Okay.
TikTok, there's a real nostalgic angle. Um, we started to relaunch some of the products that we've done many years ago for TikTok, and they've had the highest level of traction
Really.
versus all the other platforms that we sell on. Yeah, like yeah, it's a real strange kind of I guess trend that we're seeing on TikTok where it's a real nostalgic angle.
It's funny, isn't it? Because I was looking at your channels, and you've got a huge amount of following on Facebook, which now makes sense that you've been around for 40 years, so people have grown with you. You know, because normally you'd expect your brand to be heavily indexed onto TikTok, heavily indexed onto Instagram, and not as much. Yeah, Facebook would be waning, but it looks
Yeah,
incredibly active and incredibly large numbers on there.
that's it. I think that's driven in part by the fact that we do have such a millennial following,
Yeah,
by the fact that we've had distribution in, I guess, so many of the bigger accounts within the UK over such a long period of time. People have grown up with us, and as I say, people recognise the sachet, people recognise the brand. We went through a rebrand through around mid 2015, 16, where we were Montagne Jeunesse, and then we moved across to Seventh Heaven because not many people could say the brand.
I'm glad you've said it. I was hoping we wouldn't have to say the old brand. Yeah.
No, I'm not saying no, we recognise that internally. I say we, I wasn't with the company at the time, but as a brand,
The royal we, you took
yeah, the royal
ownership
we,
of
yeah,
it. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, we tested a number of different brand names, and Seventh Heaven was the one that resonated most with our consumer base and allowed yeah, free recall of our brand, and it wasn't prompted by us trying to bastardize the Montagne Jeunesse name.
yeah, yeah. Try and think of a new one that sounds a bit like it, but
Yeah,
not quite. Yeah, no, it's never going to work. So the wonderful thing about the business is it's still family owned, isn't it? After 40 years.
it
So
is. Greg is our founder. Greg is the person who started the business. Greg's still involved in the business. Oh, Greg started the business, say, 40 years ago, pretty much out of his kitchen. Noticed a bit of a niche and opportunity within the market. And really, I guess, through him then, developing this, managed to get some traction within the UK, within some international territories as well. Basically began to build the brand out. Greg is highly passionate about our products and the products that we bring to market. So we'll go over and sit with Greg once every 8 to 12 weeks, try new products, test new products. He gets all of the data in terms of the stuff that we're testing and bringing to market. He still has input into the design, into the look, the feel of the products. And yeah, he's highly invested still into the business. Given the fact that this
What?
is one of his many businesses,
Yeah.
I think this is his baby, and that's never going to change.
So what was his background? Because it's not a natural thing where you think I'm going to make a face mask, is it today? You know, it's not like a.
No, I'd say Greg is a true entrepreneur. I don't know the full background in terms of what exactly he was doing, but he's done a number of things where I think even as a teenager, he was setting up like nightclub events and selling tickets and making money off that. And I, I think I say he's one of these kind of true entrepreneurs who investigates everything that might have an opportunity. So even within his businesses today, he's constantly looking for what's the next new thing, what's the next thing that might be trending that he can get on the back of, or jump on the back of. So yeah, he's a fascinating guy. He received an OBE last year as well. So yeah,
Fantastic.
he's he does a lot of positive things as well for society and the communities that he lives within.
And how involved is he with the day-to-day running of the business with you and your senior team?
So he's relatively hands off. He allows me and the team to manage the business. I'll probably check in with Greg once every couple of weeks, and yeah, I'll give him a breakdown of everything that we're doing, where we're going, what the initiatives are, and he'll have some input at that point. But to be fair, he lets me and the team run the business on a day-to-day basis.
That's impressive, isn't it? Because, like you say, I've spoken to luckily a lot of founders now on this podcast, and some of them still refer to their business as their baby,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes that is a limiting factor in the growth of that business. But it sounds like he's smart enough to know when his idea is in safe pairs of hands to grow and go to the next level with someone like yourself.
I believe so. Yeah, I say Greg knows what we're doing. He gets updated on the activities of the business. But I guess he doesn't have the time either, given the number of things that he's going on his end to be involved on a day-to-day basis, and that would hamper the business, and I think he knows that. And the fact that if we were waiting for a decision off Greg day in day out, we wouldn't get the answers quick enough, and I think that's something that he fully recognizes and knows that we need to take full control over the business.
But that's quite a skill because a lot of people don't
Mm.
recognise that.
No, I've seen it previously as well.
Yeah, I was about to say. So, do you think the fact that the journey that you took, and like you say, you obviously had an internal burning flame, which was about getting to a sales director position. How quickly did that alter to saying, right, now I've understood that side. I fancy that general, wider managerial, in terms of an MD, CEO type role.
Be honest, I don't know. I kind of got to the role of sales director, and I I reached that role quicker than I thought I was going to. I'll be honest. I thought I'd be older at that point, and I would have had to do other roles before I got to that point. So that I'll be honest, that took me by surprise to a degree. However, yeah, I fell into that role and really kind of honed my skills within that role, and I didn't I didn't honestly know where I wanted to go after that kind of point either. Um, it was only for the fact that there was changes in the business that naturally presented themselves that allowed me to begin to step into the role of a general manager and MD in a more natural way. I didn't recognize it to begin with. It was only over time that I recognized that actually I could probably do this role, and I'd be well suited to doing this role as well. So yeah, it wasn't an intentional want from my side. It was more of a natural process.
Yeah. I suppose if you spent a lot of your time constantly building relationships and building trust in that sales environment, it's a really good skill set to bring in for more of a general manager, isn't it? In terms of understanding how you talk about your team, the diversity of your team you've got now in product
Yeah.
development, manufacturing, distribution, collab deals, TikTok management. You know, it's not a one trick pony, your business, is it?
It's not, no. We've got multiple different facets to the business, and I think obviously, coming from the the MD role that I had previous to this role, that there's definitely more facets to this role by the fact that we do have in-house production, we've got warehousing, I say we've got manufacturing, we've got then a lab, a regulatory team in-house. We've got a lot more functions that are housed within the business, and there's probably other things that I've got to probably take into account, which I wouldn't have had to take into account with another previous business, by the fact that we do operate in so many different markets as well, as you say. And each of them different markets have got the different nuances that then you have to understand and know how to operate within. So yeah, no, it's definitely been a growth curve moving through into SATT.
We always say, well, if we're learning, we're engaged, aren't we? I think
Yeah.
it sounds like you've got it on acid there. So in terms of when you are dealing overseas and stuff, are you having to help the retailers or distributors promote the brand too, or is that pretty much taken care of in the local market?
It's a mix. It's a mix, I'll be honest. Because obviously we operate in so many different markets, we don't necessarily have all the resource internally to facilitate that. So we will lead on some of the partners to either generate their own content, or we will provide some content that they can then push through their own channels. I guess from a retail basis, because we deal mainly with distributors, we'll be helping them with information guidance on product placement, potential gaps within ranges. We'll be providing, say, evidence and data to then support their selling arguments, or to drive optimization of the ranges that they are stocking within stores. Again, I guess knowing the different markets and the different nuances, then we do take them things into account as well when we're having them conversations.
Yeah, and have you found yourself having, especially on some of the, as you try to bring in new markets, obviously you've talked about the collabs, but are you looking more and more at influencers? I've seen a lot of your content is user generated on social, which is great, but are you actually actively seeking basically influencers, and not the ones that people think are the famous ones, but sort of smaller influencers to try and bring markets in?
Yeah, I think it's about having that level of credibility with influencers. I think if you look at the influencer market, as you say, you've got some huge influencers that play within the beauty space. But really, I think from a credibility perspective, it's probably dealing with some of the more micro influencers, nano influencers, who can really get our message across in a credible way. So yes, we are actively, I guess, going through that process in terms of understanding who do we want to work with, how do we work with these people best. So our social media team are constantly reviewing how do we do this in an organic way, so it doesn't look like it's forced, or it's not genuine. We want people who love the brand working with the brand. We don't want to be paying people huge sums of money just to work with the brand.
Because it's a perfect market, isn't it, to engage and to have a discussion, a sort of a virtual conversation with. And so if you can create the content that brings that conversation to the fore, then the brand's only going to grow and grow and grow, isn't it?
Absolutely, and I think consumers are constantly looking for education within the sector as well. So if we can bring that education to the forefront and make it easy and relevant to understand, then it really kind of helps with our position, but also as well, it helps with the consumers understanding what their needs are, and what the right products are for them. Because there's no, I guess, one shoe that fits all either within this sector. People have got to take or use the products that are best suited for them, depending on their skincare needs. And yeah, I say we want to work with people who can convey that in the right way, but do it in a credible way as well.
So in terms of the wider brand, you've obviously got Seventh Heaven, which is now, because of its product, is very trusted by people and for skin. Is there a drive within the business to potentially try and widen further your product offering, or is there enough to go out with what your current? I mean, it's not a narrow offer, is it? But it is predominantly around the face masks and treatments.
It is. So we're constantly assessing that. I'll be honest. There's a new range of products that we're going to start testing in the market in the next few months. I don't know how much I can say on this right now, but it's not going to be facial care. So
Interesting.
yeah, we're looking to see if we can start branching into oral care,
Right. Okay. Yeah.
which is completely different.
Yeah, which is a big area, isn't it, as well? And
Yeah.
it is, and it's interesting, isn't it? Like you say, there's it's things like skin and eyes and oral that are very, very sensitive, well, literally, but to people that they won't mess with, and to the point where you can get a loyal customer for life if you don't damage or if their skin likes your product. And I suppose it's interesting. There's always that analogy, isn't there, of where when Pampers were looking to evolve their range from nappies, how do you go from nappies? And if you're just known for nappies, whereas they did the same thing, that they understood baby's skin.
Mm,
So the fact they made nappies that looked after baby's skin then meant they could do what, they could do the shampoo, they could do the lotions, they could do the
yeah.
moisture, and it's understanding what the brand's connection is, and then how you can stretch that
Hmm.
to be meaningful and not to obviously cannibalise the day job, so to speak, the core offer, isn't it? As well, that's the other thing where people are going, "What's this? Why are they selling this? How do they have a right?"
Absolutely. You've got to have that level of credibility to operate in a different area, especially if it's not the natural area that you're operating in at the moment. But yeah, I say we're constantly looking to see, where could we evolve to? I don't know, what could we do in a credible way? So I said there's a couple of things that we are looking at, and one of them is oral care. Another products area, which again I probably can't give too much information on, but it's going to be more of a, I don't know, a need state led range, which will target a specific um, consumer demographic, which we're
Okay,
probably not targeting at the moment, or we definitely aren't targeting at the moment. And again, that's going to be, great, well formulated products in packaging that's, suitable for today's market. But also as well, I guess that's where we need to assess, and yeah, how do we bring these things to market, and who do we partner with? And again, look at it then, from like a social perspective, we've got to then manage our social streams to make sure that it looks cohesive at the same point. Because if we're then, targeting a different demographic, it's got to look seamless on our social streams and not alienate our current
yeah,
consumer group.
yeah. I mean, I suppose the other thing that you've got to look at from the reverse of that is that as a business, you are a superb sourcer, manufacturer, and distributor and marketer of products to set markets. You can use that skill set and bring out a new brand at the front of it, can't you? But again, sometimes if you can find something that targets the same market, well, you'd be daft not to try and explore that first.
Absolutely. And you say, I guess it's about, how do we think smarter at times rather than, we could be busy fools because there's so many different things that we could be doing. And there's so many ideas that the team have on a regular basis that we have to just pause because it's it's probably just not right for us now.
Yeah,
I'll be honest, like I guess, I don't know, looking at the kind of ideas funnel, there's a hell of a lot going in at the top end of it.
yeah. And you got to be careful when you're flying all over the world to your different sites that these ideas don't suddenly get traction. Like, whoa, whoa, whoa,
Exactly.
slow down. And we talked earlier about this. You do a lot of travel. Is that because there's an active sort of circuit that you've got to be at, to be seen at, to be demonstrating, to keep these global markets going?
Yeah, I think I guess obviously given the fact that we operate in so many different markets, it's good to be at a select number of different shows. So we'll always be at, Cosmoprof Bologna. I guess that's the show that we've been at for, I think, probably about 30 years at least now. I might be doing
Wow,
the branding injustice in saying that it could have been longer, but yeah. So we actively do that show because, one, it's great for us as a team to go and meet our partners because a lot of them fly in from all over the world and we can meet them in one space. It also allows us then to showcase some of our MPD and some of our new product lines to new consumers. There's a lot of people who still don't know the brand, and there's a lot of retailers who will attend that event who might never have seen our brand before, and potentially we can, gain, further distribution than what we've got now. And then we actively then target, shows where we can get in front of retailers and retail buyers. So ECRMs are a key example of that, where we'll do a number of ECRMs to get in front of the right buyers, to show them specific ranges or specific new products that we're going to launch, and allow them then to, have to, I guess, the one-on-one engagement with our team to then decide on, how do we best go about launching these products? How can we get, further traction on our brand and ranges?
interesting. That's fascinating, isn't it? But yeah, there's nothing like doing business face to face, and it's probably what you learned from your old days as a sales guy through those networks of business.
Oh, that's it. I think it's critical, really. And I think with our products that we have, you want to, open the sachet up. You want to smell, touch, that sensory, I guess, experience is second to none. The number of people who, will smell our products and love the fragrances that we offer.
It's a very
They only
sensory product, isn't it? That you,
it
like you
is,
say,
yeah. And they only get that true experience once they do open the product. I think, showing something on a PowerPoint screen doesn't do it
yeah,
justice.
it's not quite right, is it? It just looks
No,
like a packet of something that you go, oh, okay. I
exactly.
suppose you've got so much content as well through the social channels that you've got loads of ways to show people how to use it and what to use.
Yeah, that's it. I think because some of our products are quite quite unique or innovative. Like we've got a liquid bubble mask, and it's only once you start rubbing it into your skin and then you see the bubbles start appearing, kind of it brings it to life. That's where the kind of magic occurs.
Which is fun, isn't it? It's a fun business. You're allowed to have fun. We forget that sometimes. So obviously we're coming towards the end. Bit of reflection then in terms of go back and think about that journey that you explained at the beginning of the podcast. If you had another chance, would you do a similar sort of thing? Do you think that grounding of going to a different business and different sectors and different product areas gave you a really good base to be the leader that you are now of this business?
I say it did. It allowed me to experience a number of different markets. I think working through a number of different size businesses as well. So everything from an SME through to a blue chip allowed me to experience different relationships that you might own within each of them different businesses. So I guess to give it a bit of perspective, working for an SME, trying to deal with multi grocers, it's like your Tesco's, your Asda's, your Sainsbury's. The amount of airtime you might get will potentially be minimal. I don't know. You might get a meeting once every 6 months, depending on the brand that you're working for. Whereas you work for a blue chip organization, and if you're working for a company that's selling maybe 1.5 billion, you are getting a meeting nearly every day if you want one. It's a very different dynamic, and I
You get
think
a bit of clout, yeah.
yeah, I think understanding that, appreciating that, understanding how the commercial kind of landscape works through different business lenses allows you then to have better perspective. I think at my level when I'm then having conversations with my team, and also as well it allowed me to have probably a greater appreciation of what's great to have in a business and maybe what's just a nice to have within a business.
Yeah. And that only comes with time, doesn't it? Like you say, when you start your journey, what you think you need, you work out positively that it's not, and there's other areas to focus on. Which is
Absolutely,
good, and it's
it's
good.
great. Yeah.
And your journey's not finished yet. So
Oh,
in terms of then going back to, if you could take one of those lessons or take some advice that you'd love to give young Mark kicking off in his journey after his psychology? He did psychology
yes.
degree.
Yeah.
What little nugget would you like to give young Mark just to help him on his way somewhat?
I think the biggest learning I've had, and it's probably been more over more recent years than probably early years, is the ability to make a decision quicker. I think the longer you procrastinate over making a decision, whether it turns out positive or negative, it doesn't really matter. The fact that you don't make a decision, or it's taking you such a long time to make a decision, is the worst thing you can do because it just stalls the whole process, regardless of whether it's negative or positive. I'd say,
Yeah,
yeah, just make decisions faster, and uh, I say that has proved to deliver more good results than it has bad. So
I think it's good that you're honest to say it, because I think you need to have served a bit of time to understand that your job is to make decisions.
yeah,
And I think when you're younger, you sometimes think, oh yeah, I've got to include everybody, I've got to consider, when actually what people are looking for is like, right, Mark, where are we going? And then we'll go. And if it doesn't work out, well, we'll come back and go around the other way. But yeah, it's a great, I agree, because that paralysis of decision making,
yeah,
people just fill
they
it
do.
with
Yeah,
made up stuff. Oh, we're going to close tomorrow. Oh, this has gone wrong. Or they
honestly.
try and guess what you're going to go a completely different decision and start preparing for that. And then when you go the other way, it's like, oh no, we've got a load to undo then.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, I think I think that decision making process is critical, and yeah, that'd be the biggest piece of advice I could give my younger self.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Well, Mark, thank you so much for your time. I've absolutely loved that. I'll look forward to my samples of Wicked Masks in the post in September, October time when they come out.
Thanks so much for having me on the podcast, Steve. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers.
Cheers.